Hello everyone, this is ARTGER here in Mongolia, and we want to talk about the best things in Mongolian culture, history, people, and everything in between. And here is our top 10 greatest leaders in the history of Mongolia. Number 10. Zorich Sanjasura, also known as the Golden Swallow of Democracy, was a prominent Mongolian politician that led the country's 1990 democratic revolution. Now for a little background on him. Zorich's grandfather was a famous Russian geographer, and his mother was a popular Mongolian movie actress. Zorich is the second of 3 kids. In 1980, he studied philosophy at Moscow's Lomonosov State University. In 1989, Zorich then played a leading role in the events that led to Mongolia's adoption of a multi-party system. Then, on December 10th of that same year, a month after the fall of the Berlin Wall, Zorich led a group of 200 activists in a public protest demanding a free market economy and free elections. In the following month of January, Zorich and his fellow Mongolian Democrats began staging weekend protests in Sukhbat Square, and in March, the Mongolian Politburo resigned, ending the one-party rule in Mongolia. After the revolution, he became a parliament member and Mongolia's Minister for Infrastructure. On October 2nd, 1998, he was murdered. The murder to this day remains an unsolved mystery. Number 9. Tsedenbal Yumja was the leader of Mongolia from 1940 to 1984. During his political life, he served as Prime Minister and General Secretary of the Mongolian People's Party. Tsedenbal was born as an ethnic Dorvod into a poor nomadic family in Ovs. He was the 5th of 11 children in his family. Although he had once been slandered as a dictator, he was a Mongolian state leader for 44 years, to which Mongolians still give him love and respect. Now in history, he was considered as a great leader who revolutionized Mongolia's modern development. After the establishment of the Mongolian People's Republic, which numbered up to 500,000 people, he boosted improvement on Mongolian education, health, agriculture, and industrial sectors. His spouse, Anastasia Filatova, was also rewarding part of the youth development in the country. Tsedenbal was forced into retirement in August 1984 in a Soviet-sponsored move, officially on the account of his physical problem. Not sure what the physical problem is, but Tsedenbal remained in Moscow until his death. His body was then brought to Mongolia where it was buried. Number 8. Sukhbat Dampin. The main square in the capital Ulaanbaatar was named after Sukhbat Dampin, and it is still standing strong. Born into a regular herder's family, he became both a Mongolian state leader and a military leader, becoming one of the few to do so in Mongolian history. When he was 18, he was swiftly promoted to a squad leader because of his military prowess. Sukhbat was one of the great advocates for Mongolian independence. He initiated the collaboration with the Russian Red Army as well. In 1922, he was appointed commander-in-chief of the army and was selected into the newly established government of Mongolia. There was also a story that mentions how Sukhbat met with the great Russian leader Vladimir Lenin in Moscow, but it was never proven. He was also one of the closest friends of the last Mongolian king, or Han Bogd. When he was poisoned in 1923 at the age of 30, his killer was never identified. Number 7. Bogd Han. The Bogd Han was enthroned as King of Mongolia on the 29th of December in 1911, when the outer part of Mongolia declared independence from the Qing dynasty after the Xinhai Revolution. Born in Tibet, he was officially recognized as the new incarnation of Bogd Gegen in Potala, in the presence of the 13th Dalai Lama and the Panchen Lama. In 1874, the new Bogd Gegen arrived in Urgu, which is the old name of Ulaanbaatar, the capital of Mongolia. He was the spiritual leader of Outer Mongolia's Tibetan Buddhism. As a young adult in his 20s, he wanted to restore the great Mongolian kingdom of Genghis Khan, or at least liberate Mongolia from the Manchu. So, in 1895, Bogd Han sent his secret group to give a present and official letter to the Russian king in order to start the Mongolian Revolution. He started the Mongolian Revolution in 1911, and he was the noble person who fully initiated the struggle for Mongolian independence. The Bogd Han unfortunately lost his power when Chinese troops occupied the country in 1919, but after the revolution in 1921, led by Sukhbat, the Bogd Han was allowed to stay on the throne in a limited monarchy until his death in 1924. After his death, the Mongolian revolutionary government, led by followers of the Soviet communists, declared that no more reincarnations were to be found and established the Mongolian People's Republic. The Winter Palace of the Bogd Han has been preserved and is currently a tourist attraction in Ulaanbaatar. Number 6. Zen Bazaar. Under Gegen Zen Bazaar was a religious culture noble, an extraordinary politician, and the first leader and Bogd of Buddhism in Mongolia. His real name was Ishtorch, and he was declared spiritual leader of Halk Mongols by a convocation of nobles in 1639, when he was just 4 years old. The 5th Dalai Lama later recognized him as a reincarnation of the Buddhist scholar Taranatha, and bestowed on him the Sanskrit name Zen Bazaar, meaning Thunderbolt of Wisdom. In addition to his spiritual and political roles, Zen Bazaar was a polymath. He was a prodigious sculptor, painter, architect, poet, costume designer, scholar, and a linguist. He is also credited with launching Mongolia's 17th century cultural renaissance. He is best known for his intricate and elegant Buddhist sculptures, the Vaitara and Vajradhara, which he sculpted in the 1680s. To facilitate translation of sacred Tibetan texts, he created the Soyomp script, from which sprang the Soyomp that later became the national symbol of Mongolia. Over the course of nearly 60 years, Zen Bazaar advanced the Gelugpa school of Buddhism among the Mongols, supplanting or synthesizing Sakya, or Red Hat Buddhist traditions that had prevailed in the area, while strongly influencing social and political developments in 17th century Mongolia. Number 5. Ogedei Han. Ogedei was born as the 3rd son of Chingis Han and 2nd Great Han of the Mongol Empire, succeeding his father. He continued the expansion of the empire that his father had begun, and was a world figure when the Mongol Empire reached its farthest extent west and south during the Mongol invasions of Europe and East Asia. Like all of Chingis Han's primary sons, he participated extensively in conquests in China, Iran, and Central Asia. When he was 15, he followed his father Chingis Han, and he had been involved in uniting many tribes. From 1211 to 1227, he participated in many expansion wars with his siblings. He was appointed by Chingis Han before he passed in 1229 as his successor. During his time, his army led Baysaa, one of Chingis Han's grandsons, conquered Bulgaria, Russia, Poland, Czech, Hungary, and Germany. In that time, the Mongol Empire expanded until the Don River to the west and Buvahai Ocean to the east. While he updated the old laws and regulations, he progressively developed new ones as well. He also was well known for improving the communication system. He was Supreme Han for 13 years in Mongolian history. Number 4. Modun Shanyu. Modun Shanyu was born in 234 BC, and he was the founder of the Hunnu dynasty, or known to most others as the Han dynasty, in 209 BC. Modun's rule over the state from 209 BC to 174 BC was one of the most powerful ones in history. The Huns were the great ancestors and the first state empire of Mongols. Now for some background. Modun was a gifted child, but his father, Tumen, wanted the son of another of his wives to succeed him. Now, although Tumen tried to eliminate Modun, Modun turned the tables and eliminated all of his opposition, including his father. Once he had secured the throne, he established a powerful Hunnu empire by successfully unifying the tribes of the Mongolian steppes, and hence posed an imminent threat to the Chinese Qin dynasty. His Hunnu empire was one of the largest in that time of history. Modun started a large-sized conquest to the west, which eventually led to the success of Attila the Hun's invasion, which succeeded Europe. Once again, the Hunnu dynasty is considered the first state empire of the world. Number 3. Attila. Attila, frequently referred to as Attila the Hun, was the ruler of the Huns from 434 AD until his death in March 453 AD. When the Huns moved to the Wild West, they settled and claimed its state near the Volga River in present Russia. The Great Conquest continued among the Dunai River and conquered Turgic, Iran, and Uygur on the way. Attila was a great emperor of this year-long conquest of Huns. Known as the Whip of the Great Blue Sky and Mighty Conqueror, Attila was one of the strongest rulers in Europe. During his reign, he conquered the Germans, the Celtics, the Franks, and the Slavs, whom are the ancestors of the European countries. His powerful army reached all the way to the North African Bay. During his reign, he was one of the most feared enemies of the Western and Eastern Roman empires. He crossed the Danube twice and plundered the Balkans, but was unable to take Constantinople. He subsequently invaded Italy, devastating the northern provinces, but was unable to take Rome. He planned for further campaigns against the Romans but died in 453, and he was buried in a river with his treasures according to a sutra. We still don't know where he's buried to this day. Number 2. Kublai Khan. Kublai was the 5th Great Han of the Mongol Empire, reigning from 1260 to 1294. He also founded the Yuan dynasty in China as a conquest dynasty in 1271, and ruled as the first Yuan Empire until his death in 1294. Kublai was the 4th son of Tolui and a grandson of Great Genghis Khan. Kublai's real power was limited to China and Mongolia, though, as Han, he still had influence in the Il Hunt, and, to a significantly lesser degree, in the Golden Horde. If one counts the Mongol Empire at that time as a whole, his realm reached from the Pacific Ocean to the Black Sea, from Siberia to what is now Afghanistan, 1/5 of the world's inhabited land area. By 1279, the Mongol conquest of the Song dynasty was completed, and Kublai became the first non-native emperor to conquer all of China. Also notable, Marco Polo, the renowned explorer, took a journey through the Great Mongolian Empire. He spread the true words about Kublai Khan to Europeans. Kublai Khan twice attempted to invade Japan, and it is believed that both attempts were thwarted by bad weather or a flaw in the design of ships where his fleet ended up being destroyed. Nevertheless, his navy was considered the biggest during that time. He continued to succeed in the basics of globalization of Chingis Han, to complete building the Mongolian old capital city, Karakorum, to give people religious freedom, to expand the Silk Road communication, to create the world's first passports, paper currency, postal system, and establish tourism. He was one of the key instigators to the development of the modern world. Kublai Khan died when he was 78 years old in 1294 AD. Number 1. Surprise, surprise, it's Chingis Han. Chingis Han was the founder and great emperor of the Mongol Empire, which became the largest continuous empire in history after his death. His real name was Temujin. He came to power by uniting many of the nomadic tribes of Northeast Asia. After founding the empire and being proclaimed Chingis Han, he started the Mongol invasions that conquered most of Eurasia. Campaigns initiated in his lifetime include those against the Karakitai, Caucasia, and Khwarezmian, Western Xia, and Jin dynasties. These campaigns were often accompanied by wholesale massacres of the civilian populations, especially in the Khwarezmian and Western Xia-controlled lands. By the end of his life, the Mongol Empire occupied a substantial portion of Central Asia and China. Beyond his military accomplishments, Chingis Han also advanced the Mongol Empire in other ways. He decreed the adoption of the Uyghur script as the Mongol Empire's writing system. He also practiced meritocracy and encouraged religious tolerance in the Mongol Empire while unifying the nomadic tribes of Northeast Asia. Present-day Mongolians regard him as the founding father of Mongolia. Chingis Han is also credited with bringing the Silk Road under one cohesive political environment. This brought communication and trade from Northeast Asia into Muslim Southwest Asia and Christian Europe, thus expanding the horizons of all three cultural areas. He died in 1227 after defeating the Western Xia. He was buried in an unmarked grave somewhere in Mongolia. His descendants extended the Mongol Empire across most of Eurasia by conquering or creating vassal states in all of modern-day China, Korea, Caucasus, Central Asia, and substantial portions of modern Eastern Europe, Russia, and Southwest Asia. Well, we have just presented to you the Mongolian top 10 leaders in history. Think someone else should be in here than one of the others? Let us know in the comments below. Please do not forget to subscribe and catch you soon.